Good everyone, welcome to this video. Today we have a review on the He-112 B1U2. Those of you that may remember this thing from the premium series flight may remember this thing being an absolute pain in the arse to actually get a video for, and the battles that I had to do to get this thing as a review was no exception. So the He-112 B1U2 is essentially a carbon copy of the B0 that we have in the tech tree, but for some weird reason this aircraft is set at 2.3. Now, the only reason I can think of that is for the B2U2, but the B2U2 has pretty much the exact same performance, so just both 1 mile an hour faster. Now, I'm not sure how this contemplates it being 2.3 for an additional 1 miles an hour. Is there something else I need to know about, or are these aircraft secretly overpowered and I just haven't figured it out yet? But even so. So this aircraft costs 550 golden eagles, and personally I don't think it's worth it. The problem is that this aircraft fights a lot of stuff that really kick its teeth in. Now, I know some people are going to say, hold on a minute, Joe, you reviewed the A7HE1 a couple of months ago probably, and you said that thing was worth it. Yeah, but that thing's set at 2.0. You can get it down to 1.0. In this thing, the chances of seeing a 1.3 game are about as rare as rocking horse shit. The chance of you seeing that sort of matchmaker is rare, at least for me. And given the fact that this aircraft has no real performance advantages over a 2.0 He-112, there's no real reason to buy an aircraft where you can potentially fight something like, I don't know, you can fight an F4U1D Corsair in this thing. You can fight a Spitfire Mark V in this thing. Put that into perspective and you'll soon see why. So yeah, this thing isn't exactly stellar with its performance. I mean, most of the German premiums around this BR are not stellar. I mean, the only other one you could really have is the Fliegels, which I would actually say the Fliegels is better, and I know that comes as a shock to some of you, but don't worry, you'll see that in that thing's review. And obviously, if you go a little bit more, you can get the IL-2 1942 and the German Yak, and we'll just don't buy that sucker shit. And if you want to go even higher, you can get Chubby or the Spruce Goose. So there's a lot better options, and that's the thing. Like German premiums at low tier need to be, well, there needs to be something better for the most part. I mean, the Fliegels can work, but it's very hard to do so. And well, the B1U2 is not great. Let's put it that way. It's not great compared to its competition. And given the fact that you have to fight a flipping F4U1D in it sometimes, it's very hard to do so. Now, this aircraft is still playable, and you probably could get it on a discount and still have some fun with it, but finding a Corsair or a Mark V Spit which completely outclasses you, yeah, that's not exactly fun in my mind, at least with the A7HE1, which I reviewed a couple of months ago. This thing's set at 2.0, and, well, this aircraft's more fun to me, because at least I get down-tiered a lot more than I get up-tiered, and I can have a lot more fun. But for this thing, I just don't think it's worth it. But we'll go into the battle anyway, and we'll take a look at what I got up to in the plane. But like I say though, I don't think this aircraft should be set at 2.3. There's no real performance advantage over a regular 112B0 that I've noticed that should say, yeah, this thing should sit at 2.3 because this, that, and the other. I don't think it should. This aircraft should be set at 2.0. Same with the B2U2. Those aircraft are not deserving to be at the BRs that they are currently at. But hey, this is Gaijin. I am not in charge of Gaijin. That's just the way it is. Now, this is one of the few down tiers that I actually got, so that gives you an idea of how rare it actually is. And you can do some work in a down tier, but again, there's still a lot of aircraft that can outclass you. And there's even some lower tier aircraft that can outclass you. So obviously I'm climbing up to altitude and I'm deciding what to go with. And obviously in terms of armament, this thing's exactly the same as the A7HE1, so if you want a more in-depth overview of the armament, please do go take a look at that review. But the armament is the exact same as a B0, two 7.92 MG machine guns, with 500 rounds each, and then you have two 20mm MG FF cannon with 60 rounds each. That's not bad armament, but at the same time, the cannons run out quick, and whilst the MGs hit hard, that's the thing, like, there's a lot of aircraft at this BR that keep most of their armament until they run dry, such as a Hawk, or the H-75 Hawks, or a Hurricane. And there's just so much that can outclass you. There's just no point to this aircraft when you have to sometimes fight a flipping 1D Corsair Mark 5 Spit. And a Mark 5 Spit will send you packing every single time unless the pilot's a dumbass. Which the majority of Spitfire pilots are not. So at this point, I'm diving on a couple of enemy aircraft, and I decided to go for the Hurricane at this point. I probably shouldn't have gone for the Hawk, to be brutally honest, but I decided to ignore the Hawk and go for the Hurricane, because the Hurricane is a lot more tanky, and well, with my ping, you can do things like that. That's kill number 1. So I pulled back up into the vertical to obviously drain some speed, because this thing does lock up, same as the 7 He-1, they share the same flight model for the most part. And here comes the H-75 pulling up. I get a nice crit into his engine, and I blow some of his oil out, but the Hawks are really maneuverable. And I've not really beaten a Hawk in a 112 in a turn fight, but it's still something to be considerate of. So at this point, the Hurricane that you can see down there is to shot down the only teammate I have in the area, and he's now pulling it vertical. But the Hurricane can climb like a boss, but he had much lower speed than I did, and this enables me to get behind the Hurricane. And well, Hurricane being as tanky as she is, she can take some fire from these MGFF cannons and still keep flying. Just Hurricane things, they're tanky sons of bitches if you don't know where to shoot, or if you don't have the guns to put them down. They can be quite tanky, for a fighter at least. The Hurricane's still attempting to maneuver and fight, but he's taken damage, and obviously I'm down to the MGs at this point. I finished him off with a pilot snipe, and that's kill number 2. Kill number 3 will shortly be from that H-75, who I'm going to finish off by strafing him, because, well, if I remember rightly, he must have turned his engine off because it didn't fully count, and obviously I wanted to make sure he was dead before the H-1 engine exit or something. So I move in to finish him off, and well, this was kind of a mistake on my part, and turned out he died anyway, so it was a mistake on my part. But I just finish off the pilot just to make sure it can't spot or anything like that. And I start reclimbing, which this thing doesn't do particularly great at doing. It's not the best climber in the world. But even so, it's still something to at least take into account. So I'm just going to skip us ahead here, and in fact, no, I tell a lie, I had a bit of cannon ammo. And I was saving it for that. The Mark 5 Sunderland. Now if you don't, I think I had about 20 rounds left in the cannons. If you don't know about Sunderland, we didn't own that thing, the Honey Badger. Because Honey Badgers don't care, and you literally have to slam every round you've got home. Otherwise you're not knocking that son of a bitch out of the sky. And as you can tell, that thing is covered in guns. And as you can tell, the 20 mils just tickled its belly. Like, it did not care. It took a crit, but that's all it's going to do. So the Blenheim comes on through, and obviously I've taken a bit of oil damage. And at this point, I decide, okay, I'm going to have to go for the pilot snipe, or at least an engine fire. And, well, that Sunderland is going to burn down very shortly. But as you can tell, my time is coming up. I've got a Hawk and a CR-714, and soon to be a D501, who has actually done nothing for his team this whole time. He's going to randomly appear out the clouds, and, well, I can't exactly fight when there's 3 of them and 1 of me, and most of my team are back at the airfield right now, or they're chasing a burning bomber which has just gone down. But obviously I'm looking for backup, but there's no backup to come. The only teammate in the area is the He-112, who's currently chasing a Blenheim, and I'm trying to fight for my life here. The He-112 has finally got the message of, hang on a minute, this guy needs a hand. but by this point it's already too late. The CR714 is engaging or trying to engage the HE100. The Hawk's currently engaging me, and the D501 is about to engage me in a moment. And obviously now the CR714 is coming back for a head-on, which he actually knows how to do a head-on, unlike most people. But at this point, I'm low on speed, I'm out of time, and I'm taking fire. There's nothing I can do to get out of this situation. I'm trying to dodge, but the HE100 decides I'm going to go home, I'm going to leave this guy to die. And well, the Hawk just pulls in behind me, blazes my tail control away. And well, that's the end of me. Nothing much I could have really done there. Personally though, if you are going to go for a vehicle in the tech tree, I would personally advise going for something like one of the Stukas for a talisman, maybe one of the JU88s, or even the HE100D1. I just think that would do you better if you're looking for a budget premium, so to speak. So obviously you don't get a silver line modifier with a talisman, you only get an RP modifier. But like I said, I think this aircraft can work. The problem is that you have to rely on a down tier for it to do something. In an up tier, it's kind of useless because it has to fight an F4U-1D Corsair or a Spitfire Mark V, and it will have no chance against them. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's review on the HE112B1U2. Like I say, if you're looking for a more in-depth review, please do go look at my A7HE1 review, and well, I'll see you all on the next one.